Hello everyone and welcome to lesson 22.2A. I've entitled this video, Ancient Times of West Africa. This video is going to cover pages 676 to 678. Ancient Times. Early civilizations in West Africa learned to thrive in a variety of climates and landscapes, from the Sahara to the tropical rainforest. Throughout its history, the region was open to many migrations and invasions because of its resources. Ancient herders. We think of the Sahara as a hot, intensely dry place where few living things can survive. 10,000 years ago, the Sahara was a much different place. Rock drawings from 8000 BC depict a world that looks more like a savanna than a desert. Drawings include lakes, forests, and large animals not seen in the Sahara in modern times: ostriches, giraffes, elephants, antelope, and rhinoceroses. Semi-nomadic people herded cattle and hunted wild animals. As the climate grew drier, fewer species of plants and animals survived the harsh environment. Many people moved south, following the retreat of the grasslands and the rain. During this period of desertification, people discovered that camels can survive without water for longer periods than cattle, sheep, or goats. Camels also can carry heavy loads for long distances. They were perfect domesticated animals for desert dwellers. And now we can answer several questions. Number one, throughout the history, why did many migrants and invaders want to come to this area of the world, West Africa? Because of the resources that were there. Number two, how was the Sahara different 10,000 years ago than it is today? Well, today it's a desert, but we think back then it was more like a savanna, having lakes, forests, large animals that we don't see today. Question three, what happened to the climate in the Sahara that caused fewer plants and animals to be able to survive there? The climate grew drier. Number four, based on that previous question, what did the people do in response to the drying of the Sahara? They moved south, where it wasn't as dry. Number five, what animal did people discover could survive without water for longer periods of time than other animals? Camels. Question six, what was another thing that made camels perfect for desert dwelling? Well, they were able to carry heavy loads over long distances. Movement of people. The Bantu people inhabited West Africa in ancient times. They had developed farming as early as 2000 BC. A vast migration of Bantu people out of West Africa began around 1000 BC and continued for hundreds of years. Their farming practices allowed them to expand rather easily into areas occupied by hunter-gatherer groups. The Bantu became the dominant population in most of East and South Africa. The Bantu might have reached the East African coast as early as the AD 200s. They displaced or took over many of the people who had lived on these lands before them. Question number 7. Which group of people lived in West Africa in ancient times? The Bantu people. Question 8. What did the Bantu people develop as early as 2000 BC? Farming. Question 9. What did the Bantu people begin to do around 1000 BC? They began to move or migrate out of West Africa and to expand, as you can see on the map over here. They began to expand and explore the rest of Africa, taking their culture and their people with them, and sometimes displacing the people that had lived in those areas previously. Wherever the Bantu moved, they spread their culture, including 3 vital elements. First, the Bantu cultivated bananas, taro, and yams, which were originally from Malaysia. These crops thrived in the humidity of the tropical rainforest. Second, the Bantu spread their languages everywhere they settled. Today, more than 500 distinct Bantu languages are spoken by 85 million Africans, and you can see a map of that in the top right corner. Third, the Bantu brought iron smelting technology. They could create tools and weapons unlike any the native people had ever seen. Question number 10. When the Bantu people moved and spread their culture, they spread 3 vital elements. What were these 3 vital elements? Number 1, they spread food, such as bananas, taro, and yams. Number 2, they spread their language, and today, 85 million Africans are speaking more than 500 distinct Bantu languages. And 3, they brought their iron smelting technology. So the people that they brought this to could now create tools and weapons made of iron. And as we learned in a previous video, in chapter, I believe, 21, iron tools and weapons replaced stone tools and stone weapons. So Iron much more durable and can last a lot longer and more reliable than stone tools and stone weapons. Trade across the Sahara. For thousands of years, the Sahara was a barrier to contact between West Africa and North Africa. By the AD 700s, Arab Muslims had crossed the Sahara and conquered most of North Africa. They dominated the southern Mediterranean and controlled trade in that region, as well as Saharan trade routes into West Africa. Arab geographers slowly learned about Africa south of the Sahara. They realized that the region offered opportunities, not only in trade, but also in adding converts to Islam. One of the West African kingdoms they learned about was Ghana. Ghana controlled the gold trade in the region. It traded gold for salt that Arab traders brought in from the Sahara. Salt was a very important trade good. It was the best preserver of food, and it was rare and difficult to acquire. The Berber people had lived in North Africa long before the Arabs arrived. The Berbers resisted Islam for a while, but in time they converted. Several groups of Islamic Berbers joined together to become the Almoravids. They were fierce fighters, and they wanted to spread their new faith. Question number 11. For thousands of years, what was a barrier to contact between West Africa and North Africa? The Sahara Desert. Question 12. By the 700 AD, which group had crossed the Sahara and conquered most of North Africa? That would be the Arab Muslims. Question 13. What were two huge influences the Arab Muslims had on West Africa? Number one, the first huge influence is they were able to trade with people in the region. And number two, spreading the religion of Islam to the people that they came across. Question number 14. What was Ghana known for having a lot of at that time in history? Gold. Question number 15. What did Ghana receive from Arab traders in their trades? Well, they traded away gold, and in return, they got salt. Question 16. Why was salt a very valuable commodity back in that time period? It was the best preserver of food. Question 17. What are two more reasons why salt was a valuable commodity back in that time period? Well, not only was it the best preserver of food, but it was rare, and it was difficult to acquire. That makes it valuable. Question 18 is a thinking question. What modern-day electric appliance makes salt less important today than it was back then? I'll give you some time to think it over. Did you come up with the refrigerator? If so, good job. Yes, refrigeration allows us to store food for longer periods of time. So something like meat, for example, back then when there wasn't electricity or refrigeration, meat could spoil very quickly. Salt helps keep those things longer. Question 19. What religion did the Berber people resist for a bit but finally convert to? Islam. Question 20. What were the Almoravids famous for being? Fierce fighters. And question 21. Once the Almoravids became Muslims, what did they want to do with their faith? They wanted to spread it to other people. The first trading kingdom. The Ghana Empire was a powerful kingdom in West Africa during the Middle Ages. It had grown wealthy from its control of the gold trade. As the empire grew wealthy, it conquered many of its neighbors, including gold-rich lands to the south. Ghana built a strong trade with Muslim countries in North Africa. In the AD 1000s, the Almoravids conquered Ghana. Almoravid rule over Ghana lasted only a few years, but that was long enough to damage the trade that kept the empire alive. With the arrival of so many Almoravids, there was now a larger population to feed. The dry climate could not support the sudden increase in agriculture, and this resulted in desertification. Land that at one time was fertile became desert. Ghana became weak, and its conquered neighbors began to break away. 22. How did the Ghana Empire become so wealthy? Through the gold trade. 23. Which part of the world did Ghana build a strong trade system with during the Middle Ages? With these Muslim countries in North Africa. Question 24. What happened to the Ghana Empire in the 1000s? Well, just like every empire, it was eventually conquered, this time by the Almoravids. Question 25. How did the arrival of so many Almoravids in the area lead to desertification in the area? Well, with too many people and mouths to feed, There was a sudden increase in the need for agriculture, and they basically farmed, and it took away the precious nutrients, and you have the desertification. You have too much farming going on, it can't support it, and so land that had once been fertile was turned into desert. Well, thank you so much for watching. It was not always easy to find a joke or a meme, but because this video did talk about salt, I found one on salt. So here we go. This is a chemistry joke. I wanted to make a sodium joke, but nah. If you get that, great. If not, check out the periodic table. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.